So, as you probably know, the spear was just announced as the newest weapon in the latest Minecraft Live, and the entire community has been talking about it since. If you haven't heard already, the spear is a weapon that does more damage the faster you're going, so you can easily one-shot players in maxed out netherite armor. It's kind of like the mace in that it can deal an unlimited amount of damage, but while the mace is pretty vertical gameplay, the spear is primarily horizontal. But there's a lot of possibilities for this new weapon, and today I'm going to be discussing 5 of the best ways to use the new Minecraft spear. Oh, and if you're wondering how I got the spear early, I'll link the mod pack down below so you can try it out. Now, method 5 is both the least effective and probably the least imaginary of my 5 spear uses today, and it is using a horse. Using a horse is pretty good, but at the same time, you're just not really going very fast compared to what you could be going. At this speed, you can't even one-shot someone in netherite armor, so really, it's just not worth doing this at all. To make it better, you could splash speed 2 on your horse, and that would improve it a bit, but even still, it's not that good. There are upsides to having a horse, such as having a really easy to pull off and very manageable way to use a spear, because some of the ones coming up are kind of crazy and pretty difficult to use, and a horse is always very consistent and easy to use. But it just doesn't have the sheer power the others do, so for that, it's going in spot number 5. I can see some applications for this early game when you have like iron and diamond spears and everyone's in iron armor, but in a late game SMP or fight or something, this just isn't going to be effective. Now, the next method is faster significantly than riding a horse, but also far harder to control unless you're experienced with it, because the next method is ice boating. This, I feel like, is going to be a commonly used application of the spear because it's both pretty easy to do compared to some of the other things, and also it maintains good consistent speeds that can deal high amounts of damage really quickly. Just like the horse, it's also very versatile and you can use it in a lot of situations as long as you set up near a frozen ocean. I personally think that this will be a really effective way to use the spear, and I'm looking forward to trying it like this. Expanding on this idea is a blue ice highway, but you'd have to set that up beforehand, so I'm not putting that in the video because it's not something you can really just pull out and do. You have to have it set up, but that is an option. But just because it isn't quite the crazy insane speeds we're reaching later in this video, it gets spot number 4. Now, the third method is where the methods start to get really good and overpowered, being able to one-shot someone in maxed out netherite armor, because the third method is using just an Elytra and fireworks with the spear. Now, I suspect this will probably be the default for most spear users, being that it's a perfect balance between relatively easy and also still dealing a ridiculous amount of damage. It's kind of hard to actually aim the spear, and for this method, I love turning hitboxes on to see everything much clearer. This is definitely the most optimal way to use a spear, as well as I'd say the easiest for how good it is. I can already see this becoming a whole new game mode in Minecraft, and I'm really excited for it. All you need to do is you just use a firework, then quickly switch to your spear. It's really easy to pull off, and really effective if you can do it right. When actually hitting with the spear, you need to worry a little more about it now because you're airborne and you have to make sure your trajectory is right. So instead of kind of going up and then down like a mace, you want to fly straight across at your opponents and hit them straight on. You also want to make sure your crosshair is directly lining up with the opponent's hitbox, or else you will not get a hit. With the ice boat and the horse, this doesn't matter quite as much because it's much easier to hit, but with the Elytra, this starts to matter more and more from this point on. Now for the second best way to use a spear, and in my opinion, it's the most interesting by far. This requires the most items to actually set up, needing a dolphin spawn egg, a lead, a Riptide 3 trident, and if you really want to be crazy, some soul soil. I'll explain that part later. To start with, you just lead the dolphin, and then instantly you'll get Dolphin's Grace, along with the Depth Strider 3 boots that I totally knew that you had. This will make you go super fast in the water. Now already, this is a great method for use of the spear. Plus, it has an underwater aspect, so I can already envision some epic underwater fights with the spear. The spear works just as well as it does on land underwater, so there's no hindrance in actually using the spear underwater. To bump this technique up a notch, we can start using the Riptide Free, but this is when it gets risky, because if your dolphin's lead snaps, or you accidentally hit your dolphin, then this whole technique is going to get messed up and you will have a severe disadvantage mid-fight. But this does provide you a great speed boost that will definitely improve the efficiency of your spear and how much damage it does. Now, the final thing to add to this technique, which is by far the hardest to pull off on this entire list, is the Soul Soil tactic. I can't even really pull it off in normal speed, so I'm going to have to slow the game down. Okay, the game is now working at 1/4 of its normal speed. And what you do for this technique is basically all you have to do is place the Soul Soil down and then get Soul Speed 3 on your boots, and you're going to start going ridiculously fast. So now all you have to do is just continuously place Soul Soil, let the momentum launch you out, and then spear someone with your spear. That's all there is to this technique, though the Soul Soil part is ridiculously difficult, and I still haven't been able to do it in normal speed. Comment down below if you can actually get this to work. This technique is definitely the most interesting of the 5, and I think it's a very close second. There's definitely a lot of applications that you can use this for, and I'm excited to see all of the cool underwater fights that will happen. Now, this last method is by far the strongest method to do spear PvP, and it combines a few of the other techniques. It's a mix of Elytra, Riptide, and Rain. This technique is so overpowered because of the crazy speeds at which you can reach and the insane amount of damage that a spear will do after this kind of speed. Let me just demonstrate. And just like that, you can deal an insane amount of damage. It's actually ridiculous. From my testing, I just took over 300 hearts off this warden. That's crazy. This is by far the best method for spear PvP, and it is ridiculously overpowered. It's also just maybe one of the best methods for transport in Minecraft, because, I mean, you're literally going hundreds of blocks every second. Yeah, it's a really broken mechanic in Minecraft. Let's just say that. The only problem with this technique is, one, it is really, really hard to control this amount of speed. You're literally going so fast you can't control it. And two, you actually need rain to do this technique, which makes it the most dependent technique on something, which is slightly annoying, but it can be dealt with. But really, I mean, all of those costs are worth the insane amount of damage that you're doing with this, making it the #1 method for spear PvP in all of Minecraft. There are a few techniques in this video that I didn't mention, but I didn't mention them because I didn't think they'd be good enough to go into this top 5 list. I'm ranking these off of overall damage, ability to set up, and resources required. So I really don't think building a TNT cannon mid-fight, launching yourself, and then coming down with a Riptide Trident is really the way to do spear. In fact, I think that's more the way to do mace. Anyway, if you have any more ideas for the spear, comment down below because I want to hear all of your ideas. Also, comment down below if you want to see any more spear videos. I'm thinking about maybe trying to design a spear kit for spear PvP in the future. So hit the notifications bell and subscribe if you want to stay notified about that. Until then, see you in the next video!